Good morning, everyone. Have you ever met someone who talks endlessly about their goals, but never seems to move an inch closer to achieving them? We all have. Words are powerful, but action speaks louder than words. Today, I want to talk about a simple yet life-changing idea. Speak less, achieve more. Anyone can talk about success, but very few people are willing to do what it takes to actually achieve it. Words are easy. They flow effortlessly. They make us feel like we've already accomplished something just by saying it out loud. But the truth is, words without action are like a car without fuel. Impressive to look at, but going nowhere. What defines a person is not how loudly they speak, but how consistently they act. Actions define character. Actions define results. And most importantly, actions define legacy. When you say less and do more, you shift your focus from impressing others to improving yourself. Talking about your dreams gives a temporary sense of satisfaction. It's like tasting the sweetness of success before you've earned it. But once that feeling fades, all that remains is the hard work still waiting to be done. That's why many people get stuck in the cycle of talking big but doing little. They spend energy explaining their plans instead of executing them. But the people who truly rise above are those who channel that same energy into silent, consistent effort. They don't waste time convincing others. They let their results do the convincing. Imagine two people with the same dream. One spends his time talking about what he'll do, how he'll start a business, how he'll change his life, how he'll make it big one day. The other quietly starts working, learning, building, failing, improving, trying again. Months pass. The first person is still talking, but the second one has already built something real. That's the power of action. While words can inspire, actions transform. When you focus on doing instead of speaking, you build credibility. People begin to trust what you say because your actions back it up. In any field, business, relationships, leadership, your actions are your loudest form of communication. They show your integrity, your commitment, and your discipline. Words might catch attention for a moment, but actions hold respect for a lifetime. Great leaders don't need to announce their vision every day. Their consistency speaks for them. Their teams follow not because of promises, but because of proof. The difference between a dreamer and an achiever lies in this simple truth. Dreamers talk about what they want. Achievers work for what they want. Every great success story started quietly. Someone waking up early, staying late, practicing in the dark, improving when no one was watching. There were no grand announcements, no dramatic speeches, just dedication. That's why when success finally arrives, it speaks so loudly that the whole world listens. If you look at nature, even there you'll find the same lesson. The sun doesn't declare that it's about to rise. It simply rises, and the whole world notices. Flowers don't shout that they're blooming. They just bloom, and people stop to admire them. That's what it means to let your actions define you. You don't have to declare your greatness. You just have to be great. When you act instead of talk, you also free yourself from the pressure of seeking approval. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You stop living for validation and start living for purpose. The satisfaction of seeing your efforts come to life is far greater than the temporary pleasure of talking about them. You realize that the quiet path may not get applause every day, but it leads to real fulfillment. So don't let your energy scatter in endless explanations or promises. Focus that energy where it matters, in the effort, in the grind, in the discipline that turns your words into reality. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you say that defines you, it's what you do when no one's listening. And those silent actions, those small, consistent steps are what shape your destiny. Words can inspire others for a moment, but your actions can inspire the world forever. Silence is not emptiness, it is power held in control. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and endless chatter, silence becomes a rare strength. Most people feel the urge to fill every moment with words, to express, to argue, to be heard. But those who understand the power of silence know that it's not about saying less for the sake of quiet. It's about mastering the art of restraint. When you choose silence, you choose awareness. You become an observer rather than just a participant. And that gives you an extraordinary advantage in understanding life, people, and yourself. When you speak less, you start to listen more deeply, not just to others, but to your own thoughts. You begin to recognize what truly matters. Silence helps you filter out the unnecessary noise that distracts you from your purpose. It allows you to hear the subtle whispers of your intuition, the guidance that words often drown out. Great minds, from philosophers to innovators, have always valued moments of silence because they knew that clarity does not come from chaos. It comes from stillness. There's a quiet confidence in silence that words can never match. When someone stays calm and composed while everyone else rushes to speak, they naturally draw respect. People listen to those who don't speak often because their words carry more weight. That's the beauty of silence. It builds value around your voice. When you finally do speak, it matters. It's not about muteness, it's about meaning. The less you speak without purpose, the more powerful your words become when you choose to use them. Silence also teaches patience. In moments of tension, those who can hold their peace instead of reacting impulsively show real emotional intelligence. Speaking without thinking can destroy relationships, opportunities, and reputations. But a calm pause, a silent moment to reflect, can save them. Silence gives you space to respond wisely instead of reacting emotionally. It becomes a tool of maturity, a reflection of self-control. You realize that not everything deserves your comment. Not every argument needs your defense. And not every situation requires your voice. Those who master silence are often the most observant. They notice what others miss. The emotions behind words, the intentions behind actions, the truth hidden in between conversations. This awareness is a gift. It allows you to connect more deeply, to understand without judging, and to navigate life with sharper insight. You begin to see how much can be communicated without a single word. A gesture, a look, or even your calm presence can say more than a long speech ever could. In leadership and personal growth, silence is often mistaken for weakness, but it's actually one of the greatest signs of strength. It takes courage to remain silent when provoked, to choose listening over arguing, to observe rather than interfere. Silence gives leaders clarity. It helps them think before they act. It allows them to hear not just what people say, but what they truly mean. In relationships, silence creates understanding. In creativity, it gives birth to ideas. And in self-development, it becomes the ground where confidence grows. Even nature whispers the same truth. The most powerful forces move in silence. The growth of trees, the flow of rivers, the rise of the sun. They don't need to make noise to show their power. Their presence alone commands attention. Likewise, when you embrace silence, you start to operate with calm power. You no longer seek validation or attention. You don't need to prove your worth through words because your calm confidence speaks for itself. The more comfortable you become with silence, the stronger you become in every area of life. You develop inner peace that cannot be shaken by noise, criticism, or chaos around you. You stop feeling the need to compete for attention. You begin to understand that silence isn't about being unheard, it's about being unshaken. It's about staying centered when the world tries to pull you in every direction. And in that quiet strength, you find focus, wisdom, and true power. There comes a time in every person's journey when talking about dreams no longer satisfies the heart. You can only describe your vision so many times before you realize that words don't build anything. Actions do. When you truly desire success, you stop seeking approval for your ambitions and start seeking progress through your work. Letting your results speak for you is the mark of true maturity and confidence. It means you've reached a point where validation no longer drives you, achievement does. The most powerful people in the world rarely boast about what they will do. They simply go out, do it, and let the results announce their presence. When you focus on showing results instead of making promises, something shifts within you. You stop wasting energy convincing others and begin investing that energy into creating impact. It's a transformation from external motivation to internal discipline. People who constantly talk about what they're going to achieve often rely on the excitement of their own words for motivation. But that excitement fades quickly. In contrast, those who let their work do the talking are fueled by purpose, not praise. Their satisfaction comes from progress, not attention. Results have a universal language. They require no explanation, no justification, and no defense. When you achieve something meaningful, even your silence is powerful. People may have doubted you, questioned your abilities, or ignored your dreams, but once they see the outcome of your dedication, all the doubts dissolve. That's the beauty of results. They replace arguments with evidence. You don't need to say, "I can." Your work already says, "I did." Think about how many times in life people announce grand goals that never materialize. Every day we hear someone say, "I'll start tomorrow, I'm going to change," or "You'll see what I'll do." Yet years later, nothing has changed. Words without action are like empty promises. They might sound convincing, but they hold no weight. On the other hand, when someone consistently works in silence, stays disciplined, and keeps improving, their progress becomes undeniable. The world eventually takes notice, even if it takes time. True success doesn't need advertising. It simply needs effort. Letting your results speak also builds credibility. In any profession, reputation is not built by talking about what you can do. It's built by proving it through consistent performance. People remember outcomes, not intentions. You might say you're hardworking, but only your work ethic can prove it. You might say you're passionate, but only your results can reflect that passion. Every project you complete, every milestone you reach, every challenge you overcome becomes your testimony. The louder your results become, the less you need to explain yourself. There's also a quiet dignity in this approach. When you no longer depend on others' approval, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure. You start working not to impress, but to improve. The focus shifts from showing off to showing up, every day with persistence and purpose. And when your motivation comes from within, it's unstoppable. You learn to appreciate the long, silent hours of hard work that no one sees, because you understand that they are shaping the visible success the world will one day admire. Even the greatest leaders and innovators lived by this principle. They didn't spend time boasting about what they would invent or achieve. They devoted themselves to the process. Their results changed the world and spoke louder than any speech could. That's why history remembers their actions, not their announcements. The same principle applies to every dreamer. If you want to be respected, don't declare your greatness, demonstrate it. The truth is, real success doesn't need noise. It needs patience, perseverance, and quiet confidence. When you let your results speak for you, you build influence that no words can buy. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget what you did. And as your achievements begin to shine, you'll realize that silence can roar louder than any promise ever made. In the pursuit of success, many people make the mistake of chasing attention instead of achievement. They talk about their plans, announce their goals, and share their every move with the world, hoping to gain recognition before they've earned it. But progress is not built on publicity, it's built on persistence. The people who truly rise are those who quietly focus on their work, while others are distracted by the need to be seen. When you shift your energy from showing off to showing up, your results become your loudest advertisement. True progress doesn't need an audience. It needs dedication, discipline, and patience. Every second spent talking about what you're going to do is a second taken away from actually doing it. The time and energy used to create the perfect image could instead be invested in creating the reality behind that image. Many people fall into the trap of mistaking attention for accomplishment. They receive praise for their intentions and confuse it with success. But attention is fleeting. It fades as quickly as it appears. Progress, however, is permanent. It builds a foundation that no opinion can shake. The applause that comes from publicity might feel satisfying for a moment, but the fulfillment that comes from real achievement lasts far longer. Focusing on progress means staying true to your purpose even when no one is watching. It means waking up early, putting in effort, and staying committed even when the world isn't clapping. The most successful individuals are those who don't rely on external validation. They understand that greatness is often born in silence. While others are busy announcing their intentions, they are busy refining their craft. While others seek followers, they seek mastery. That's why their success eventually becomes undeniable. It's not built on noise, but on substance. Progress requires humility. You have to be willing to be unseen while you grow, to work behind the scenes without recognition. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. It's in those quiet hours when no one is watching that the strongest foundations are built. When you dedicate yourself to progress instead of publicity, you start valuing the process over the praise. You realize that success isn't about how fast you're noticed. It's about how strong you become while no one's paying attention. And once you've put in the work, recognition comes naturally, because real achievement can't stay hidden forever. In today's digital age, the temptation to showcase every small success is stronger than ever. We're surrounded by a culture of constant sharing. Everyone wants to prove their worth through likes, views, and followers. But real progress is not made on screens, it's made in silence, through consistent effort and personal growth. The quiet hours you spend learning, practicing, and improving are what shape your future. It's easy to look successful online. It's far harder to build success offline. Those who understand this difference don't chase validation, they chase evolution. When you focus on progress, you also protect your energy. Publicity invites opinions, expectations, and pressure. When too many people know your plans, you start working for their approval instead of your own purpose. You begin adjusting your actions to please others, rather than staying true to your vision. But when you keep your goals private and focus purely on the work, you remain in control. You move at your own pace, free from distraction and judgment. You start to enjoy the process rather than performing for it. Success that comes from publicity often fades because it's built on perception, not performance. But success that comes from progress endures because it's built on effort and integrity. People will always notice results that are genuine. You don't have to announce every step. Your achievements will speak when the time is right. The truth is, no one remembers the promises you make. They remember the results you deliver. So instead of talking about your journey, live it. Instead of chasing attention, earn respect, work in silence, grow in peace, and let your success make the noise that words never could. Consistency is the bridge between intention and achievement, the invisible force that turns small actions into remarkable results. It's not the grand gestures that build success, but the quiet, steady commitment repeated day after day. Many people start strong, full of energy and enthusiasm, but fade away when progress feels slow or unseen. The truth is, success rarely happens overnight. It's a product of persistent effort over time. Those who master consistency understand that progress may be invisible in the beginning, but every small step is shaping something powerful beneath the surface. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it, because you trust the process more than your mood. Consistency builds credibility with others and with yourself. Each time you keep a promise to your goals, you strengthen your self-belief. You begin to realize that discipline is not about being perfect, it's about being reliable. It's about keeping momentum alive even on the days when motivation is missing. Motivation can spark the beginning, but consistency sustains the fire. People who rely only on inspiration achieve occasionally, but people who rely on consistency achieve continually. When you keep taking small, meaningful actions, they compound into something extraordinary over time. Think of a sculptor working on a block of stone. One strike of the hammer does nothing visible. Two may still seem useless, but 1,000 precise strikes, performed consistently, reveal a masterpiece. That's how life works. Most people give up after a few hits because they expect immediate results, but the ones who persist, who keep striking even when nothing seems to change, are the ones who eventually shape greatness. Every day you remain consistent, you're carving your own future, even if you can't yet see its form. Consistency also separates the committed from the curious. Anyone can start, but few can stay. When you decide to be consistent, you make a silent promise to your vision that no circumstance will shake. You begin to treat your goals as non-negotiable, like breathing or sleeping. You work not because you have to, but because it's part of who you are. Over time, this habit of showing up turns into your identity. You become someone who can be trusted with your word, your work, and your dreams. Success doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. Even if you fail, even if progress feels painfully slow, consistency keeps you moving forward. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Each small effort adds up. Reading 10 pages a day might not seem like much, but over a year, that's thousands of pages of knowledge. Exercising for 20 minutes a day might feel insignificant, but over months, it transforms your body and mindset. These small actions done consistently are far more powerful than intense bursts of effort that quickly fade. Consistency also teaches patience, a quality that most people overlook. It reminds you that great things take time to grow. You can't rush a seed into a tree, and you can't rush your growth either. The beauty of being consistent is that you begin to find joy in the process rather than in the outcome. You start to appreciate the journey, the quiet grind, and the sense of progress that comes from simply doing the work. That satisfaction builds momentum, and momentum creates mastery. Over time, consistency transforms effort into excellence. It's not talent alone that makes people successful. It's the discipline to keep refining that talent day after day. Consistency is what turns average individuals into experts and dreams into realities. When you commit to steady progress, your habits begin to serve your future automatically. Each repetition, each day of effort, each act of persistence becomes an investment in your destiny. The world might not see your effort today, but soon your consistency will make you unstoppable. The results may arrive slowly, but when they do, they arrive with the weight and permanence that only sustained effort can create. Being an example is far more powerful than being an echo. In a world where most people follow trends, repeat opinions, and seek comfort in imitation, those who stand out are the ones who dare to lead through authenticity and action. To be the example means to live your values so visibly that you inspire others without saying a word. It's about being so consistent, so genuine, and so purpose-driven that your life itself becomes a silent message of what's possible. While an echo merely repeats what it has heard, an example creates something new, something original and deeply rooted in truth. Leadership, at its core, is not about instructing others, it's about influencing them through the way you live. People are not moved by words alone, they are moved by presence, by integrity, by what they witness every day. Anyone can give advice, but only those who embody it can truly inspire change. When your actions align with your words, you earn a level of respect that cannot be demanded. People start paying attention not because you speak the loudest, but because your life reflects what you stand for. That's the essence of being the example. To live with such honesty and conviction that others naturally want to follow your lead. When you choose to be an example, You commit to walking a harder path. It's easier to echo popular opinions, to blend in, to say what everyone wants to hear. But it takes courage to stand alone, to stay true to your beliefs even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. Real leaders don't seek approval. They seek purpose. They're not driven by how many people agree with them, but by how aligned they are with their principles. Every act of integrity, no matter how small, becomes a ripple that influences others. You might not even realize how many people are watching you quietly, drawing strength from your example. To be the example also means taking responsibility for your influence. Whether you realize it or not, your behavior sets a tone for those around you. In your workplace, your family, your friendships, people notice how you react, how you handle challenges, and how you treat others. If you show kindness, resilience, and patience, you give others permission to do the same. If you complain, quit, or criticize, that too becomes contagious. Every choice you make sends a message. The question is, what message do you want your life to send? True influence never requires shouting or showing off. It radiates quietly from those who live with purpose and consistency. Think of the people who have inspired you the most. They probably weren't the loudest in the room. They were the ones who stayed grounded, calm, and focused even in chaos. They led by example, not by ego. Their presence reminded you that strength isn't about dominance, it's about direction. And that direction often comes from humility, the willingness to serve, to grow, and to guide without seeking attention. Being the example is also about resilience. It's about continuing to do the right thing even when no one notices, even when it feels like it doesn't matter. It's about holding on to your values when life tests you, showing others that integrity is not conditional. The greatest form of leadership is not displayed in victory, but in how you handle adversity. When you stay calm under pressure, when you choose patience over anger or persistence over giving up, you show others what true strength looks like. You don't have to hold a title to lead. You don't have to stand on a stage to inspire. Every person has the ability to be an example simply by living with intention and authenticity. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more clarity. It needs people who lead not with words, but with actions that uplift and empower. To be the example means becoming a living proof of your message. It means turning your beliefs into behavior and your goals into habits. Over time, your example becomes your legacy, a quiet, powerful force that continues to inspire long after the words are forgotten. My friends, remember this: a lion doesn't need to roar to prove it's powerful. It simply acts, and the world watches in awe. In the same way, your silence, your focus, and your persistence will make more noise than any speech ever could. So today, make a decision. Speak less. Do more. Let your success be your statement. Your results be your voice, and your actions be your loudest applause. Thank you.